Hello, my name is Michael Garrick, and this is the PoppinCulture podcast. My guest today is comedian Alex Baldauf.
Yeah. How are you, Michael?
Good, man. How about you?
Dude, doing well.
Man, thank you so much for being on the podcast, man. I really appreciate
Dude, my
it.
pleasure. I always love coming up here to Columbia.
Nice, man. Nice. Alex is from Charleston, one of the best comedians in Charleston. If you live in the area, make sure you go check him out.
Yeah, no, thanks for that.
No problem, man. No problem. We're going to be talking about comic books. You chose the topic and how they influence pop culture. But before we do, I love to ask comedians. A lot of people talk about bombing, but I'm more into like success and killing. So when was the first time you killed on stage, and how did it feel?
Honestly, like nothing in the 2 years since I started has come close. Maybe come close, but that first time, like I didn't bomb my first time. I did pretty well comparatively now that I've seen a lot of first timers 2 years in, and I did all right. I bombed super hard the second time. Nobody wanted to hear jokes about my dog. That's what the whole 5 minutes was, and
Okay.
I learned a valuable lesson there.
Okay. Well, that's good, man. Has anything you've done before compared to that feeling?
No, God, no. I mean, I've played music on stage, done things my whole life that are like arguably fulfilling, but nothing has touched like the electricity I felt that very first time with a mic in my hand and only my material to stand on, you know?
Nice. I didn't know you were a musician. Okay.
I dabble. I'm
Okay.
very like, I've been playing guitar for like 20 years, but it's always been a hobby thing, not a like, I've filled in here and there for friends when
Nice.
they needed it, but
Okay.
never
Nice.
one to rely on. I make too many mistakes.
Okay. Cool. But it's always good to have it in your back pocket too.
Oh yeah, it's a good time. It's one of my. It's my unwind.
Nice.
I'm always playing guitar by the end of the night.
Okay.
Once I get home.
Nice. Cool. Have you ever used it on stage?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, we have a bunch of mixed mics in Charleston where you can go up and like there's people that do poetry, people that do music. And a lot of those mixed mics, since they're not comedy centric, they have no idea how to work a light. So you can get as much time in as you want. I mean, I've done like 15, 20-minute sets at like random bars
Okay.
in Charleston at their rando open mics. And then sometimes if I'm feeling froggy, I'll borrow like the host guitar and play some music.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Wow, that gives you a lot of time to try out new stuff and work out old stuff.
Yeah. It's been cool. Some of the mics have evaporated recently.
Yeah.
With just change ups that businesses are doing with COVID, trying to stay afloat and whatnot. Like, open mic comedy doesn't bring in a ton of money for the businesses. So I think some of them are changing up, but we've got some new mics about to pop up in Charleston.
Nice.
I'm pretty excited about that.
Nice.
I mean, heck, that's why I moved up here a
Okay.
year ago to just pursue a more healthy mic scene that Columbia had. And now it seems like you guys are starting to bounce back with COVID now.
Slowly but surely. Yeah. Have you been to the Purple Buffalo yet?
Yeah, every Wednesday.
Nice.
Buddy of mine, Doug Smith and Austin Hughes run that one. And it's a great room. They've honestly like built it up since like the initial bounce back from COVID started. It was when it started, it was basically like 5 comics in the room, and now it's usually a crowd of like 20, 30 people.
Nice.
There.
Good
It's
for them.
solid, yeah.
Good for them.
And they're being consistent with it, and they open theirs up there. They do music, poetry, stuff like that. And I think a lot of the success comes from branching out to other arts and getting them aware of the comedy scene as well.
Nice. Okay. Haven't made my way down there yet. I've had Austin on the podcast, but definitely, I'm gonna definitely go check that out soon. So you chose the topic comic books. Any special reason why?
Oh, it's just I've always read comic books. I'm a pretty avid collector. I got a couple boxes filled with them, but I just like them. I think they provide a good moral basis for people in a modern age.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I did a little bit of research. The first comic book, they started as comic strips, and the first comic strip was called Yellow Kid, and it goes all the way back to 1895.
Yeah.
Did you know about
I
that?
didn't. I
Okay.
didn't. I don't know the like history outside of like the history of Marvel and DC and when
Okay.
Action Comics kind of picked up and they
Okay.
went more mainstream.
Nice, nice. Okay. I was surprised to find out, like I said, a little history. And the first comic book was in 1933. It's called Funnies on Parade. I don't think they were trying to go too clever with the names
Oh
at that
yeah.
time. And lastly, just going on the last little bit of history was, did you know who the first comic book superhero, the name?
No, who was it?
The Phantom.
Oh, I didn't. There's a movie about that with I want to say Billy Zane from Titanic.
Really?
Yeah, where he plays he's like purple and whatnot, and he's like a dead guy that comes back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it blew my mind. For the longest time, I thought it was Superman, but it was
Oh yeah.
the Phantom. Is the movie good?
It's been years since I've
Okay.
seen it. I can't imagine it is though.
Okay.
Like my memory of it makes me think like probably not great. Also, like Billy Zane, I
True.
mean, he's a delight to watch, but he's kind of like Nick Cage in that tier of like it's entertaining
Yeah,
and
is he-
ridiculous.
True. It's either going to be a great movie or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be so bad it's great though.
True.
Yeah.
True. Yes. It has the room vibes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
About that.
Oh. But yeah, like you say, Action Comics. That was when that became DC. They came out with Superman in 1938. Have you actually read that comic?
No, I've seen one under glass though. They're super duper expensive.
Yeah, I took a glance at it because you can find everything online. But the story was very simple. But I can see how like at that time why that would be so like crazy for people outside.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just honestly, it kind of going back to what I was saying before. I think that especially then, that's when we started to see like comic book heroes as like larger than life gods, and that's it. Really, I think the basis of like all the influence on comic books, on culture, pop culture, what have you, comes down to that. It's that like they serve the same purpose as those Greek and Roman gods did, to provide an example of what the peak of humanity could become, of what that like mountaintop looks like. And that's what comic book heroes do today. I mean, look at Captain America, just a solid dude all the way through. If you try to live by his moral standards, arguably you'll have a good life.
Yeah, I agree. But I definitely noticed after doing a little bit of, because I grew up with comic books, but after looking kind of backwards in time, yeah, there are different versions, and I noticed that comic books have to go with time, and we can use
yeah.
Captain America as definitely a reference point. Because they tied in real life situations at that time, dealing with World War II. There's a comic book with Captain America punching fictional fictional or real life Hitler, and the dialogue used, because it was wartime.
Yeah.
We could not use that
Oh
dialogue.
no,
now.
we would be canceled immediately.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was just it was.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. Like comic books, at the end of the day, are built to associate with the culture that they're a part of at that given moment. They're a commentary.
Yep.
So like back then, the peak of what it meant to be an American was to say "screw the Nazis."
Yes.
And so they had Captain America saying all manner of, I'm sure, slurs against Germans. I'm sure there was some kraut thrown around. You can still say that one.
Yeah, true. But I do like the fact that it's even passed on now. Like they definitely stay in what's going on in real life, and I think that definitely pushes the culture more. When it comes to a comic book character, do you feel like you rather them push towards fiction, or do you like it more when they push towards realism?
I like it. There are some comic books that are more like they try to push towards realism, and when you see the movies, like DC tries to go towards more of a realism spin, or at least they did at one point. Now they're going a little wilder, but honestly, I think the two aren't exclusive of one another. You have to have a little bit of both to, get the point across. Like with what I'm talking about, with it being associated with like Greek gods and the mythology of that, it's essentially the same thing. You've got elements of the fantastic and then mundane elements of daily life that ground the character to, be something that normal people can relate to.
Yes, yes. When it comes to sidekicks, are you a fan of sidekicks, or do you rather a story where it's just your hero?
Oh man, I mean, I like sidekicks. I mean, the mentor-mentee relationship is important in any avenue you take in life, and superheroics being one of them, I'm sure.
Nice, nice.
So I enjoy that, but like a lot of my favorite superheroes that I gravitate towards are more go it alone kind of guys, but at times they've had sidekicks or worked on teams.
Nice, nice. Do you like the aspect of teams? Because when it comes to comic book characters in general, I go towards more the team comics, because it's something about buying a comic book and you want to see one, but when you can buy one and you see like 5, it's like, wow, okay.
Certainly. The crossover events are, I mean, those are the epic things that make comics really epic. The more day-to-day solo stories are what kind of ground it a little more. Like, look at SpiderMan, for example. A lot of his stuff is friendly neighborhood SpiderMan kind of things, where he's just hanging out in Brooklyn or the Bronx and stopping crimes, and every once in a while something pops off that requires his full attention.
Sure.
But then he crosses over as part of the Avengers. So, I mean, he's a big part of like world-ending threats and stopping those as well. So I like the crossovers, honestly. Like, I mean, we're getting a lot more of that, especially since Avengers came out with the MCU. You're starting to see even more crossovers, and they've already kind of made that every Avengers movie, and like Captain America Civil War was a big crossover event.
Sure.
And they're kind of doing the same going forward, I think, with all their plans for the MCU, kind of making it more crossover versus singular, like, titular characters taking the spotlight. But, I think in the next Spider-Man movie, they have like 4 or 5 different cameos where it's essentially a crossover movie.
Yeah. And it's crazy because if you're not a comic book fan, you would think that's a new idea. But for people that like us that read comic books, we know it's just like, no, Marvel has always done that.
That's what we've been waiting on.
Yeah, this is Marvel's always been Marvel thing. Matter of fact, believe it or not, Universal. I can't remember one of the creators' name, but that's why the monsters would always team up against each other. I guess whoever used to work for Marvel started to work for Universal, and he was like, "Hey, we made all these movies. Now let's put all these monsters together and make more money."
Yeah.
So that's where Universal got that idea from.
Yeah, I saw that Monster Mash show that they did at Universal when I was a kid.
Nice. Oh, I love Universal. I actually I actually like Universal more than I actually enjoyed Disney World, believe it or not.
I think it's more fun with the ride perspective,
especially the Spider-Man one.
Oh yeah, that one's fun, and the Hulk. That one gave me a little whiplash once.
Okay, I don't think I've been on the Hulk one. Okay.
I did it. Rockets you out like really fast.
Nice.
It's wild.
Okay, I'll definitely
give you some whiplash. Make sure you're back in the seats aren't that cushioned, so
on second thought,
maybe a little concussion. Wear a helmet.
Yeah, on second thought, I'll pass that one. I'll skip. How do you feel about anti-heroes?
I'm actually, like, I mean, I love them, honestly. I just got done reading the first volume of Donny Cates' run of Venom, because that ties into a big crossover that they're doing right now. And I love Donny Cates. He's like a really big comic book writer right now. He's done a lot of cool stuff. He has a lot of kind of anti-hero characters he gravitates towards, but he did Venom for a while. I think he's working on Spider-Man now, I want to say, but there's this big crossover with Carnage, and the God of the Symbiotes is coming out now, and all this crazy stuff. But yeah, I love anti-heroes. Venom's one of my tops.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah.
I feel like when it came to Venom in particular, they had to put a lot of work into making him an anti-hero. Like that took several comics. Cause
he started out as just a villain.
I mean, he was eating people. So
yeah.
So for that transition, it took a while. Nobody just jumped on it, but like I think they did a very, very, very well job. And they took their time. That's the one biggest thing.
Yeah.
Do you want your superheroes very serious, or do you like the lightheartedness?
Oh man, I'm a Spider-Man guy. I love the lighthearted. Yeah, I need I need somebody making it look easy and talking shit the whole time. That's kind of my favorite kind of person. So
I'm the same way. I tried to get in Spawn, but it was too hardcore for me.
oh, Spawn's pretty hardcore and
Yeah,
brutal.
I was like, there is not one joke here. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's just dark the
Yeah.
whole way through.
Yeah, it made The Punisher look like a kid's book, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
True. How do you feel about horror comics?
Horror comics, I like them. I don't really get into them all that much. I think it's interesting sometimes when like mainstream comic books, like it's happened in the X-Men, it's happened with SpiderMan, where the stories are dark enough that they become kind of like they have a horror element to them. Mm-hmm. I enjoy that a lot. But I read a lot of different stuff that's kind of off the beaten path too. Donnie Cates, who I mentioned earlier, he has a one-off called God Country, which is about an old man who has Alzheimer's. He's starting to lose himself, and his son and daughter-in-law are trying to take care of him, and it's putting a strain on their relationship. Then a tornado just comes through in Texas and rips through their house, but in the tornado was actually like this cosmic sword that was being chased by a demon, and the sword sought out the old man with Alzheimer's. And when he was holding it, he regained all his like brain function and was a badass with the sword and fought the demons and stuff. And it's great, but the second he drops it, he goes right back to being senile.
Wow.
It's great. It's great. It's not like he kind of plays an anti-hero in it, and it's an amazing story. It's really good. Another big one for me is Saga, which is kind of like an epic space fantasy where it's about a proxy war being fought between a planet and its moon. They can't directly destroy either one because they rely on each other's orbit, but the whole story is about, like, it's a love story. It's two of the foot soldiers from the different factions fall in love, and they're like a different species effectively, but they have a baby that's like a hybrid between them, and they're on the run the whole time from both sides, and there's bounty hunters after them and stuff. And it's a tearjerker sometimes, but it's also got the humor in it as well.
Nice. See, that's what I really enjoy, original story. Mm-hmm. I do feel like sometimes they do get stuck in like telling the same story over and over again. It doesn't happen a lot, but I do see it. But yeah, I'll definitely check those two out, because those are very clever, and I'm glad that people are willing to take a risk.
Saga is one of the best things I've ever read.
What company put those out?
I think it's Image on both of them. I might be wrong on Saga, but I'll look it up for you later.
Oh no, it's cool. I'll look it up. I'm a big fan of Image. I'm a big fan of Dark Horse, just because, I don't know, Dark Horse is slowly, I feel like, get into that, like they tell the same stories over and over again a little bit. But when it comes to Dark Horse and Image, I feel like they very much are like not scared to beat, but Marvel and DC definitely, they deserve where they are. They had to leap start.
Yeah.
And I never take anything away from Marvel, because from going from bankrupt in 2000 to where they are now, that's crazy.
Insanity. Yeah. I mean, that it's just crazy to see how it's popped up in pop culture now, to where it used to be this nerdy thing that we were embarrassed of, and now it's like fully accepted.
Yeah, he went from like, oh, we're going to this convention like 5 hours away, to going like, hey, we're going to see this actor, this superstar at this convention. Like, just that short bit of time.
Chadwick Boseman, the late Black Panther, is from South Carolina. Actually, my mom taught with his aunt.
Okay.
I knew her well growing up in Somerville. It was nuts.
Okay.
That when it's crazy that they kept his cancer under wraps as long as they did, and that whole time he was like filming the Avengers movies. That's what it's about. Like, look, it elevated, a person played the role and elevated himself to the point that he was more powerful than your average man.
Yeah. I hope my circle of friends, circle of family can keep a secret that well.
Really that's intense.
Yeah. The last thing about Chadwick Boseman is I got to give it up to him, man. That kind of cancer, the fact that he was able to keep his muscle that long, that's tough.
That's insanity.
Yeah, like your muscle.
He was ripped in Black Panther.
Yeah. I mean, the last two movies he was skinny, but like to keep that muscle in the beginning, that took a lot of work for him. So.
Yeah, it's crazy. We lost a lot of people in 2020.
Yeah. Another superhero actor, Luke Cage, is actually from here. I don't mean to say Luke Cage.
But what's his? I know it. He's in a bunch. He's in another show I just started
Evil.
watching.
Yeah.
Evil. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that a lot.
One of the patients I take care
It's
of.
Mike something.
Yeah, I want to say Coleman, but it's
Mike Coulter.
Coulter. That's it.
Yeah.
One of my patients, she taught his mom, but yeah, he's from I want to say Anderson.
Okay.
But yeah, he's
Very cool.
Yeah, man. He actually, I want to say he came to one of the comic conventions in South Carolina last year. I want to say, or the
Really?
year before last year.
Nice. I think they're in talks about bringing all those Netflix heroes into the Marvel cinematic fold now.
Yeah, and right before, because we are going to talk about TV and movies, the thing that I think that if we're going to talk about comics, we have to talk about 1950s, the late 1950s, the Comic Code Authority.
Yeah.
You know more about comics. Can you explain that to the...
I mean, it was kind of like a rating system for comics, like G, PG, PG-13, R, and that's the simplest explanation for it. It was basically like they enforced like certain codes of what could and couldn't be said or done in a comic book, which has evolved over time.
Okay, and because of that, that's why the sidekicks were in place.
I don't know about that. I'm not sure the correlation there.
Okay, I just thought I was just reading ahead to make it more kiddish, so that was the best way to put.
Yeah, I
kids
think
in.
they tried to like lighten the tone certainly, and I think definitely sidekicks probably came from that, trying to appeal to kids more.
Okay.
But I like the dark stuff. That's why I'm still reading comic books 35 years into the game.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're a veteran, man. Yeah, true. Wow, nice. Okay. So we talked about the different companies, Image, Dark Horse, Marvel. Is there any other independent companies that you enjoy?
Yeah, and I can't think of them off the
Okay.
top of my head, certainly. I mean, go browse comic book stores, kids. They're out there. There's a lot of cool stuff to pick up. Another Image one I'm reading actually like ties into what I've been saying directly. It's called The Wicked and the Divine.
That's
and
a great name.
What it's about is like every so many years, gods are reincarnated on Earth, and they're essentially like superstars. Whether they're like, I mean, they just become elevated to the level of stardom. All the tabloids are following them around, but the catch is they die like 9 years later. They only have like 9 years of fame, and then they're dead. And somebody's like going around killing them prematurely, and it's like this whole detective thing, but it's got gods like Amaterasu, Ra, like it goes from Egyptian to Norse to like everything. There's like gods all over the pantheon. And it's really cool because like you see in it like the darker gods are like they show the shittiest things about humanity, and then the ones that are like about like just a good time and hedonistic and stuff, they're just like trying to, like one guy, he basically like can fill a room to where it's like ecstasy.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
But yeah, like going back to that, I think they all kind of relate to us, and it becomes essentially like a religious text to where, you know, you see what humanity, what the depths of it and the highest reaches are. And you get to see it in fantastic situations that would never apply to your real life, but you can look at it and say, okay, my situation's not as dire as that, and I should do the right thing in it.
Okay. So your point, and maybe I'm stretching it too far. Do you see it as some people would take it from life lessons, or would you see it as some people would take this as religion?
I think they're one and the same.
Okay.
I think studied a lot of religion in undergrad. Actually, like all my electives were different theology classes that I studied just because it interests me. I was mainly a political science and economics guy, but I figured best way to sell those ideas was through religion. So I figured I might as well figure out all of them.
Wow. Yeah. That is the best way to sell it. You're right.
And when I look at comic books, I just see religion.
Okay.
I do. I see gods and monsters fighting and lessons being taught, parables, all the same things that teach effective lessons through the myriad of religions. They're there at play.
Okay. Yeah, when you put it that way, yeah, I totally agree. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. To get back to the pop culture aspect of comics, it's not that people don't read now. Of course, you read, and I scan. Like I said, I don't get a chance to collect anymore just because I have a stepson. But more people will go towards movies and TV shows.
Oh, certainly.
And I think that's kind of where, unless you're a diehard fan, that's where the pop culture big influence comes
Certainly.
in now. From the first, I don't want to disrespect like the 70s, 80s, and 90s movies and TV shows, superhero. I just,
No, they couldn't capture the fantastic situations properly. I mean, the technology wasn't there.
don't get me wrong, they are definitely part of pop culture.
Certainly.
Because that Japanese SpiderMan, it's horrible. But
Oh,
if you
yeah,
get-
yeah.
If you get a chance to watch it, though, watch it.
You got
That-
ropes shooting out his
It
arm.
is hilarious. It's like, it is.
It's so bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's animated animated shows based on cartoons. You're a Spider-Man fan.
Mm-hmm.
Do you enjoy the 2000s or I'm
It
sorry,
was like late 90s.
late 90s,
Yeah.
late 90s
or
Spider?
mid-90s. I think it
yeah.
was like 95, 96.
Do you enjoy that Spider-Man or 2099? Not 2099, but the old Unlimited.
Oh, I like all of them, man.
Okay,
I'm just like anything Spider-Man. I'm
Cool.
like, all right, sign me up. Like, I loved the introduction of Miles Morales, and they brought him to the big screen with Into the Spider-Verse. And
Yes.
Spider-Verse in the comics was a way crazier crossover with like multi-dimensional beings and every iteration of Spider-Man that could possibly exist, like hundreds of them. But I liked Miles a lot. I think he kind of hit the heart of bringing Spider-Man into the like current pop culture status, and again making it relatable. Like there's still a lot of the same like beats to Miles's story as Peter's. They learn a lot of the same lessons. It's just the environment in which they learn them is a little different and not crazy different. Like. And I think that's what goes to show, like, one of the big things with Spider-Man is that anybody can wear the mask. Like, and he's supposed to be a source of inspiration for the city. So to have somebody follow in his footsteps and whatnot is, the perfect homage to that.
Yeah, true. And also it's not because I grew up young black man. I was a big fan of Spider-Man from the beginning, from the get-go. But and I know it's something that people say all the time, but to see somebody that looks like you does
Oh,
matter.
yeah.
Like, so that
100%.
So that definitely made it more to me. Like it was just like, plus like they didn't skip on like powers. I like the fact that they did give him new powers.
He's even more powerful than regular Spider-Man. He's got some shit that can knock gods out.
Yeah,
Like,
like that. Yeah, exactly. So it's just like they didn't skip on it. And when it came to the difference between Marvel and DC, do you like the mutate? Well, you say you enjoy all of it, so never mind. When it comes to the mutation part of comics and how it's influenced pop culture, even going back to Captain America, which a lot of people make the joke about, oh, he's just on steroids. Do you think that kind of influenced? I guess they're not steroids.
yeah, but he's a
used.
good guy on steroids that can fight against the roid rage that comes with it. He doesn't beat his wife or girlfriend.
Damn. All right. Yeah.
That's why Captain America is the best of us all. He's like, I could, but I don't.
Nah. True. God damn, Alex. True. It's not funny. Shit.
We're not gonna cut this. We're leaving it at.
I'll make my decision. I'm sorry. With the way comics do influence pop culture, do you think it in any way has, I guess, taught more lessons than you would say another form of learning or entertainment?
I think there's an intentional through line in comic books to make that relation and try to like push those moral precedents to the forefront versus other forms of entertainment. I mean, of course, definitely. I mean, like every time I watch Law and Order SVU, I'm like, yeah, I probably shouldn't murder anybody.
Yeah. Thank God comics aren't like that, where every episode is the same episode. To get back to comics for a second, do you have a favorite artist?
I I really like Fiona Staples, who does all the art for Saga. I really dig her art style, and it's just out there. I mean, like in that, they got people with wings, people with horns, people with robots that have head like different types of televisions for heads. Like got an anthropomorphic seal in overalls that rides a walrus around with a big old axe.
Okay. When it comes to die-hard fandom, are you a fan of that, or do you think some people do go too far?
I mean, like obviously I love comic books and all that stuff, and it's influenced my life in a great, I think, positive way. So I don't know if I take it too far with that, but I don't think there's such a thing as too far with something you're passionate about and that you love.
Nice. What comic would you love to see enter pop culture that hasn't already?
That hasn't already. Oh, dude. I honestly love, like, Saga's not done. It went on hiatus for COVID, and now we're all frothing at the mouth for the next issue. But when that wraps up, I would love to see it made into a movie because it would just be next level crazy goodness. But in terms of like the big ones, Marvel, as far as Marvel goes, I really want to see. It's not so much that they haven't been brought into it; it's that they haven't brought it in together yet. But like, I want to see them intermingle that Spider-Verse and the live action, which I think is what we're getting with the third movie coming out.
Oh yeah,
I mean, they're pretty much. It seems like all the leaks on that point straight to a live action Spider-Verse, but I want to see him bring Morlun from the comic book Spider-Verse. He's the only guy that killed Peter Parker once.
Yeah.
And multiple times in different realities.
Yeah, I would love to see how they do Mother Webb, Mama Webb,
Madam Webb.
Madam, thank you.
Yeah.
Madam Webb. That's who because you gotta cast it correctly. You can't miscast her. The one person, which he's in pop culture, but I would love to see him brought in more, is Static Shock. I really think if DC can get the right director and the right writer, that could be an amazing TV show or movie.
I want to see Namor, honestly. Yeah. He's a really good, started as a villain, became an anti-hero kind of type as well. And I mean, I feel like all signs, I think we're going to get all that we want with what Marvel's wildly successful now, beyond their wildest dreams. They have a blank checkbook to write whatever they want. Kevin Feige's done such a good job with that cinematic universe building that I think. And he's done it with a lot of like characters that weren't like the big ones. He's put them in the movies as, right up at the forefront and made extremely successful movies out of it.
Do you think it was because of his direction or casting the right people?
I think in terms of that, it's more about world building, and he understands the world that was built before him already. And and is passionate about it and really cares about it. So, he's doing his best to make the most pure translation to the screen that he can. And I mean, his casting's spot on. Yeah. For the majority of the movies, the directors they've had are amazing. I mean, Jon Favreau was the one to kick it off, and now he's given us our best Star Wars life, our best Marvel life. It's a great time to be a nerd right now.
Yeah, my uncle was a nerd, and when it came to the first Iron Man movie, I didn't really know much about like Iron Man. I was more of a SpiderMan fan, but I remember this word for it. My uncle was like, the guy from Elf? The guy from Elf is going to direct Iron Man movie?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, and to end this podcast, I would love to ask you just one last question.
Shoot.
In your opinion, is manga comic books?
Manga?
Manga.
I mean, yeah, it's Japanese comic books. I mean, it's stories told with pictures.
Okay.
That's all about crazy characters that do things that you can't normally do. I'm fine with it.
I lean towards that too, but you'd be surprised.
It's a subsect.
You go in Reddit and you'll see a bunch of people argue about that.
I know you had Anderson on. He's a nerd too. What did you ask him that question? How's he feel about it?
I didn't ask him.
Because I know he's more into the anime culture than
Yeah, that's what our whole episode was about, anime. Yeah, but no, I didn't ask because it's more people that like anime, you just like comics. But I was surprised when I went down the rabbit hole how many people that enjoy comic books, but they won't get
They're
manga.
like mangas and comic. That's weird. I don't know.
I think the worst comment I read was like, no, they read it the wrong way. And I was like, really? That's it? Because, manga's this way in comics.
That's dumb. I hate labels. I'm just like, why? You're segregating yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, literally, like, if you're, like, I ascribe to this, I want this label on me. You're just like, hey, that means I don't want to hang out with you.
Exactly.
It's like, I'm like, man, that's fucked up.
Thank you for making that so clear, man. Thank you so much. Alex, is there anything you'd like to say to your fans?
Hey, this will be out way later than anything I could plug right now. But if you're ever in Charleston, come check us out at the Purple Buffalo. It's every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. And you can follow me at Alex C. Baldauf. That's Baldauf. And on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. I'm on there too. So, hey, come watch me shitpost, guys. It's a good time.
Nice. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast, and you guys have an amazing day.